Oh, hey there. Welcome back. We're hanging on by a thread. There we go. Welcome back to the channel. My shadow there. Still working on this. What do you call it? The backdrop, the background. Folks, we got Let's Talk Rockets, episode number 80. Pretty crazy that we've been through 80 of these. Houston finally got its revenge this evening. 106 win to 101, taking on the San Antonio Spurs. Once again, I believe we play them again later this week. Let me double check. What day is it? It is Monday, October 28th. Oh, we don't play them until November 6th, so it's not like that's far away. The Rockets on that was Saturday night should not have lost that basketball game, but they did. So it's neither here nor there. I was literally ready to go live, or actually, I should say, they had no business getting blown out in Saturday night's game, and they came back and they were right there, but unfortunately, they didn't win. So tonight they got that win. This is important. Finally, we got rivalry basketball. We got Pedro L in the chat. What's up? San Antonio revenge game tonight. Folks, before we get into tonight's game, we're live here on YouTube. Remember, Let's Talk Rockets. Crazy that we're 80 episodes in, seriously. This is available on Spotify and Apple and all your podcast forums. The link is in the description of this, or technically you could type in Let's Talk Rockets with Jackson Elster on whatever site you use. Folks, this was a huge game, man. Jaylen Green, 36 points. It technically got a little bit close there in the fourth. It started off with the San Antonio Spurs dominating every single facet of that basketball game. And Cat stepped up, man. Cat stepped up there in that fourth quarter. Technically, the Rockets got outscored 19-26 against San Antonio in the fourth quarter there. We got Paulo in the chat. We got Pedro in the chat. Folks, this is mainly live. It's pretty much live, but keep throwing. It's obviously live, but it's also skewed towards people listening the next day in the gym or on their drive or what have you. So run up this live chat here because that's pretty much the bread and butter here. I do apologize. In our last Rocket stream a couple of nights ago, I was complaining about the viewer count. That was out of context. NBA is a lot different than the NFL, and I focused way too much on the National Football League on my main channel here, which meant I pretty much did not post too much Rockets content. Folks, welcome back. It's live AF. Appreciate you pulling in here, Pedro. Let's get into some quick box score stats before we get into the meat and potatoes of this. Jabari Smith with a huge basketball game. We've been talking about him a lot, pinpointing him a lot on this channel. 17 points, 8 rebounds, 5 of 8 from the field, 2 of 4 from downtown. Dylan Brooks, quiet game, did not shoot good at all. What's up, Joshua George in the live chat? Appreciate you. 7.7 rebounds. His defense is always there. It's always there. It's always there. Alperen Sengun, after getting benched for, I think, the final 16, maybe 18 minutes of that game on Saturday night, Alperen Sengun had probably the worst. I was literally ready to go live, win or loss, but I decided against it. Alperen Sengun had probably the worst game that I've ever seen from him a couple of nights ago against the San Antonio Spurs at home. And he bounced back, 12 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 14 from the field, 1-1 from downtown, which is cool. He had 5 personal fouls. He also had a steal and a block. But, Victor Wembanyama, I've been tweeting this a lot. If you guys want to follow our Rockets Twitter, it's called Let's Talk Rockets, the name of this show. Wembanyama pisses me off. I'm sure he pisses most of you guys off, and it's mainly when he's playing Houston because obviously – if we go back to draft night a couple of years ago, he didn't want to be drafted to Houston. So I hate him every time the Rockets play him. But other than that, man, I don't really care. He can do whatever the hell he wants. I like good basketball. But Alperen Sengun, you got to keep in mind in a game like tonight, you're going up against Victor Wembanyama. And, we had a huge issue scoring the basketball or just generating clean looks that weren't just like jacked up 3-pointers on Saturday night. And that was cleaned up tonight by Mr. Jaylen Green, especially 36 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists. 11 of 22 from the field, 7 of 13 from downtown, 7 of 7 from the free throw line. Mr. Jaylen Green, he's had a phenomenal season. He was averaging pretty much 26 points something heading into this game. So I have a feeling if he just put up 36, he's probably close, if not at that 30-point per game mark after the first 4 games for the Houston Rockets. Let's see when we play next. Thursday night against the Dallas Mavericks. All right, slow week. It's been a lot of basketball, man. Keep chatting it live to our live folks. We'll get to that in just a second here. Freddie Double V, very slow offensive season for Fred, Rockford's finest. 11 points, 3 rebounds, 9 assists, 4 of 14 from the field, 3 of 8 from downtown. Had 2 steals. But keep in mind, Fred pretty much up until the last minute of that basketball game had 8 points and 9 rebounds, and he had the biggest 3 of the season, Freddie Double V, in the last minute to pretty much win the basketball game for the Houston Rockets. Bench mob, nothing too crazy. Cam Whitmore, new hairdo, unleashed the braids. Tara Eason, 6 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. Reed Shepard only saw 3 minutes, something to keep an eye on because Steven Adams made his Rockets debut this evening. But Amon didn't do anything too crazy. He had a steal and a block, but I didn't notice it with my eyes. Cam Whitmore couldn't make a 3 for his life. I don't think Cam Whitmore has a 3 this season. And Steven Adams in 13 minutes had 6 points, 3 rebounds. All right, so there we go. There's the stats. There's the rub. We got a bunch of OGs. Let me throw this in here. As always, it's available on streaming sites. The link's in the description. Shout out really quickly because we got our 10th straight 5-star rating on Spotify the other day. So I appreciate you guys. Throw it a 5-star if you are so inclined. Let's hit this chat here. Joshua George, it's an OG day. I got my Steelers game on here. It's very rarely in today's era that I prioritize the NBA over NFL, but it's something that needs to be done. Anyways, we got Gregory here. Sometimes young teams take a minute to find rhythm. So we screamed after the first 2 games of the Houston Rockets, and I've been saying this. Sorry, Rockets fans, but you got to make rent. I got a Warriors channel. I got a Lakers channel. That's a long story. That's the purpose of those channels is literally to make money because those are the 2 biggest teams in the NBA. So I watched a couple of Warriors games, but I've been keeping a keen eye on the NBA. We're not doing the NBA show anymore, if you guys know what that is, at a consistent level at least. But I've been watching a lot of basketball, and one thing I noticed immediately is the first even 2 games of an NBA season, they're so slow. They're literally just so slow. And especially like Gregory's saying here in the comments, you take such a young team like the Houston Rockets, it might just take a little bit of time, right? People were freaking out after that first game. Do we have any water in here? Oh, should have muted that. Oh, we don't have water. We have a fucking fat jug and there's no water in there. All right. Anyways, Savage Green was carrying the team. We got a chat here from my man Paulo. 28.75 points per game for Jaylen Green. I was joking around to a couple of cats earlier today saying, is Jaylen Green a secondary playmaker? And they're like, maybe. Jaylen Green, he's a bucket maker. He's really a bucket maker. So it's been a really great 4 games thus far for Jaylen Green. I think the biggest thing, and it wasn't as prevalent tonight against San Antonio, especially on the stat sheet. I just double-checked. He didn't have any steals or blocks. But one big thing that Jaylen Green's been exquisite about this season, I don't know if that's the right way to use those words, but one thing Jalen's been so good at, man, is defense. You noticed it specifically in the first 3 games of this season. Jaylen Green defensively, it's just a different energy. A lot of defense coaches say a lot of defensive talent comes down to energy. How much grunt work, how much dirty work are you willing to do? And Jaylen Green, I wouldn't say that's been a huge thing he's been missing in his first couple of years in the NBA, but I would say, if Jaylen Green became this at least clear cut above average defensive player, then I think that would skew, rightfully so, or skew in his favor a lot of people's opinions on Jaylen Green. I think when people think about Jaylen, they're thinking about just like an inefficient scorer, and that's literally all he can provide. When in reality, Jalen's, he's going to get a couple of rebounds heading into this season. He's going to get a couple of rebounds. He's going to get a couple of assists and, maybe a steal or two per game. But the defensive effort, along with the statistics, unfortunately, I don't have them for you guys right now. We'll deal with that at a later date because we don't play till Thursday. This thing's getting a little bit too much. Jaylen Green defensively has been amazing. I've been tweeting the last couple of days, or sorry, I should say I tweeted on Saturday night against San Antonio. Whether it was Victor Wembanyama, whether it was Jeremy Sohan, any member of the San Antonio Spurs, first off, shout out that this is an actual rivalry now. I absolutely love it. One big issue was there was actually a lot of issues: effort, rebounding. I sent a tweet out on Saturday night during that game when the Rockets were on a really bad stretch in that first half there. I think we scored 17 unanswered at some point in that third quarter, but the addition of Steven Adams was extremely slept on last season to begin with because Steven Adams was injured. So Steven Adams wasn't playing any snap, football. He wasn't playing any possession for the Houston Rockets at any point last season. Well, he missed the first 2 games of this year. So people were writing articles, people were making videos about Steven Adams' addition and what he can do for this Houston Rockets team in the summer. And he missed the first, 3 games of the season. So we're kind of floating under the radar here. Well, Steven Adams had a really nice role today. I think he's number 1 in offensive rebounds in the last 3 or 4 years here. Don't fact check me. He only had 1 today. Get out of here, Apple Wallet. What do you think we're doing, man? The addition of Steven Adams, as far as just a big man goes, as far as just whether that's even rebounding, not necessarily like a rim protector, but whether it's rebounding or just a big body to have at the rim. Mainly, though, what you saw tonight was the screens Steven Adams set. I mean, let me see if I can get his stats here. He's 6'11", 265, and he's throwing it down. He's throwing it down. He's moving just like every NBA player. They're moving a little bit. Try and get around me. Pretend I'm 6'11", 265. Get around me. I dare you. And I'm also moving too. If you're going left, all right, I'm moving. If you're moving right, I'm moving. And I'm 265, 6'11". Like, good luck getting around that. But you see the addition of Steven Adams in a game like tonight, even though this was, if I'm not mistaken, his Rockets debut. But it was something we were missing huge. And, when you go against San Antonio, like it's – you're going against Victor Wembanyama, and even us Rocket fans, maybe we hate him because obvious reasons. He doesn't want to be a part of Rockets, so fuck you, go rot in fucking hell. And then Sohan made the comment about F Houston a couple of days ago before Saturday, on Friday or Saturday. He made that comment or whatever. These are big rivalry games, which is awesome. The NBA's back. The Houston Rockets are back. But having a guy like Steven Adams, it's going to start – you saw it a little bit tonight, but it's going to start to pay off huge dividends, I assume, as the rest of the season progresses. Let's hit a little chat here. We got He Fan ×3. Should Tari Eason start over Brooks? We talked about this a little bit in our last video. I know Dylan had 7 points. Tari had 6. I'll make it really brief here. And we'll go to Pedro real quick because Dylan Brooks played good D tonight. I think that's a really good context is important with Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks is not supposed to be a guy who's giving you a 32 on the night. But at the same time, we go back to the first couple of games. Dylan Brooks shouldn't be a guy who's giving me 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Who do we appreciate points per game? Dylan Brooks can score. Dylan Brooks can shoot from downtown, but the main thing he does, and what we saw in Saturday night's game against San Antonio, is he's kind of this guy with the chip on his shoulder. He's kind of an energizer. I would assume, and I hate saying this, that Dylan Brooks is probably, if/when Houston decides to either make an upgrade whether that is free agency or a trade. I would assume Dylan Brooks is probably early on in that. But Dylan's a really tough guy to evaluate statistically. But when I watched Tari Eason, it's really important that Tari played 20 games or 21 or 22, 20 games last season. I don't have a good enough sample size of him scoring specifically from downtown that would constitute him starting either Dylan Brooks or Jabari Smith Jr. And that's, kind of, we're only 4 games into the season, but that's one big thing I've seen from Rockets fans, or I should say, sorry, Rockets Twitter, which is its own completely different breed, is, oh, you should start Amin Thompson for Dylan Brooks and Tari Easton for Jabari. And it's like, who the fuck is scoring? Like, if we have issues with our starting 5 scoring, who the fuck is scoring if Amin Thompson starting for Dylan Brooks and Tari Easton starting for Jabari Smith Jr.? Huge game once again. Jabari 17 points, 8 rebounds, 5 of 8 from the field, 2 of 4 from downtown. We saw much more efficient, obviously, but we saw much more assertive Jabari Smith Jr. tonight. And he's another one of those players in our core 7. I'm using air quotes here because a core 7 is ridiculous to me, but that's the state of the Houston Rockets, and that is a good thing. But this is a big year for Jabari nonetheless. And I know you take it where he was drafted, and there are certain expectations with this draft pick number, and it's like, that doesn't really feel like the state of the NBA. I mean, I think like Ricochet with Atlanta right now, I think he just got his first start a couple of games ago because Hunter was injured, and he got another start tonight because Hunter was injured. And you see with Reed Shepherd, our 3rd overall pick this season, it's like, I mean, what did Reed play? Like 3 minutes tonight? Like, it really weird in the NBA in the last couple of drafts, specifically this year's draft, where these guys aren't really playing crazy minutes. But I get it. If you draft Jalen at this pick, or you draft Amin at this pick, or you draft Jabari at this pick, it comes with a certain level of expectations. But I think we're a little bit too early on a Jabari Smith future or Dylan Brooks future or a Tari Eason future, whether it's starting or bench or what have you. I think it's just a little bit too early. I would like to see at least, I think in general, most NBA teams, it takes around 20 games to really get going. So ideally, I would like to see between 30 to 40 games of this Houston Rockets starting 5 and bench before I make any long-term decisions on this roster. But keep in mind, what the fuck do I know? All right. Pedro, Dylan played good D tonight. We got Ari was good. Jalen about an average 30 points per game with those Steven Adams screens, just like we were talking about today, man. Steven Adams, one big thing outside of the rebounding and just having a big body on this bench for Houston is those screens. I mean, you're 6'11", 265. Get around me. So if I was 6'11", 265, it's like, this is like, if you're watching audio version, it sounds confusing, but like my wingspan is his, like him doing this. Like, yeah, get around me. Get around this pick. It's just that as a forward, averaging more than 2 steals is honestly mad work. Oof. All right, keep chatting it up, man. Got this Steelers-Giants game, and I'm trying to watch it. Just so I don't have to watch it tomorrow. That sounds shitty and desperate, but you get what I'm saying here. Houston lost on Saturday night, which was really stupid. Houston lost game 1 against the Charlotte Hornets. That was extremely stupid. Got a really nice win over Ja Morant. Sorry, I was thinking of Trey Mann and LaMelo in week 1, but the president I'm still going with the Houston Rockets this season is 50 wins. Last year they won 41, and it was so up and down and up and down, and there were really good stretches, there were really bad stretches. The second half, mainly the last couple of weeks or the last month and a change, was really good for Houston. My president for this season is 50 wins. I don't anticipate this team being in NBA Finals contention unless we see a cat like, Şengün or Jaylen Green become a clear-cut, established star in the NBA. I think the NBA is a type of league where this team clearly can make the playoffs. Like this team on paper can easily win 50 games this upcoming season. But if you want to win a actual 7-game playoff series, that's typically whether it's the NBA or the NFL or the MLB, like that's typically where the stars are, supposed to really rise up. So once again, I'm taking it game by game. I'm more so taking it by week on a week to week basis to see what we got with this Houston team. But Jalen, man, he's averaging pretty much 30 points per game. And, the Şengün thing, I'll end it here on the Şengün thing. How many minutes did he play tonight? 26 minutes. He was dealing with foul trouble, which is important. But we go back to that Spurs game, and it's something I'm not going to have a clear-cut take about. But we go back to that Spurs game on Saturday night, and Şengün missed, don't fact check me here, I think it was the final 16 minutes in the second half of that Spurs game. And it's like, well, if he's obviously now my highest paid player, but if he's supposed to be my franchise player, and I know, and like I'm kind of saying here, I know this is all over the place, talking this out loud. Elperin had a really bad game on Saturday night. Like it was that bad of a game, and so you have to factor that in. You also have to factor in that you're going up against Victor Wembanyama. There's a lot of things there, but I don't want to see my quote unquote highest paid player, slash my franchise player, slash my hopeful star, my hopeful superstar. I don't want to see them missing any minutes in the fourth quarter. And I know that Ime Udoka is saying, well, we just wanted to run the hot hand. And it's like, well, if Şengün's comparison is Nikola Jokic, is there a single world where the Denver Nuggets this year, last year, the year before it benched Nikola Jokic for the entire fourth quarter just because the 5 we got out there, man, they're doing a good job, and they're playing at this energy that we don't think Jokic can do? It's like, no, not at all. So I think Şengün this offseason, rightfully so, got a lot of praise for being like this clear-cut Rockets number one, clear-cut Rockets star. And it's like, well, hold on, because you dig into the meat and potatoes of that, you dig into the advanced statistics of that, and it's like, well, let's just hold on for a second here. Let's check the chat here. Jason, the Rockets look real. I love how scrappy the team has been. Huge thing heading into this game, energy levels, and the Rockets came out with energy right out of the gate, 29-15 after the first quarter, 33-30 second quarter split. Sorry. Houston had a really big lead. Sorry, I'm not great at math here. I'm not trying to do all this advanced stats because this is like an immediate post-game reaction, but the Spurs should have had no business being this close in this football. God, dude, Jesus Christ. The Spurs shouldn't have had any business being this close in the fourth quarter, but Houston could not buy a bucket in the first 4 or so minutes of the fourth quarter. And it's just becoming this theme, and you want somebody, whether it's Fred's gotten off to a horrible start. He's gotten off to a horrible start. We saw a little bit of Jabari tonight. Dylan Brooks had a horrible game. We didn't see anything from Şengün scoring-wise the last 2 games. Thank goodness gracious, Jaylen Green put up 36, but even the bench, the leading scorer off the bench was Amin Thompson with 7. He had a really nice corner 3, only took 1 3, but Cam Whitmore, 4 points in 12 minutes, 1 of 5 from the field, all 4 from downtown. Reed only played 3 minutes. Something I'm keeping an eye on here is now that Steven Adams is back, he didn't play much, 13 minutes. Reed Shepherd played 3. All right. Nick the Baller, Jalen, all-star confirmed. Amin Thompson's performing at a lower level than he should off the bench. I'm expecting 10-14 at best, 18. I like to have a 1-3 assist. The cat like Amin, I'm not too concerned about scoring, but I do get what you're talking about. Rockets' offensive schemes are still very basic. I think you could argue that about a lot at the NBA, but I definitely get what you mean. Folks, we're going to watch this crunch time of the Steelers-Giants But I appreciate all y'all tuning in here live and post live. This is available on streaming sites. Type in Let's Talk Rockets with Jackson Ostro, or just click the link in this description, because we do this every couple of days. So I appreciate you guys. We don't play till Thursday, so we'll probably see one stream and one video from here in the next 2 days. Thank you for watching, tuning in. We'll see you guys later. Peace.